Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Pronago bringing you some more Cosmonarchy development. I've already got your Cosmonarchy cast on the stream on the YouTube channel. And of course, we got some Sovereign Saga work to do today. So that's what we'll be focusing on. And yes, Ryan, that is indeed the case. I saw that you asked that question earlier, and then Jack tried to answer it. And now we know. Indeed. Confirmed. I suppose if you had to ask the question, then it's probably a pretty distinct model, right? So hopefully I did a good enough job then. Hello, Jack. And hello, Ryan. Sometime soonish, we'll probably do another Ascosi modeling session on stream. But not right this second, because we got other fish to fry. Proverbially speaking, I am not at my shift work. All that from the Vulture model, yeah. Listen, it's glorious when we have access to new models, because I can just go ahead and kit bash to my heart's content. I'll tell you that much. So, yeah, we're in the midst of working on Sovereign Saga, as mentioned. And it's definitely it's a cool map. It's the third mission for the Terran campaign. Desperate Alliance, the Zerg destroying me, I'm a noob map. And today, we're going to better equip the Zerg, in fact. I know I still have some, decoration to do for sure to bring it up to snuff with other such Sovereign Saga maps. Particularly that second one, I think, it looks really nice. Looks very distinct. Not all of them are going to look so, shall we say, flush with doodads, flush with details, because some of them are meant to be more barren. At least some areas. Hey, what's up, Skirmish Baby? Welcome. So I feel like we're gonna have some nice little vignettes and set pieces over here in the area where the player is, and then the further you get into Zerg territory, the more I want it to be ominous and spooky and barren indeed. So I'm looking forward to showcasing some of that in the near future. Just increasing the variety there for a moment. Okay. I am definitely on the lookout for some. Actually, I should go to YouTube Music real quick. There was a No, Zaz's brood is Imicrenia, so this is going to be Imicrenia stuff. That's why we've got Quasricors and the Inzorthricor pre-placed here for the main player. I'm not sure about what the other guy is going to have by comparison. Because I feel like, obviously, if you just send your first vulture, or, well, I guess you have 2 vultures, right? You send your couple vultures up here and just start picking workers, like, that would be pretty... That would be pretty uninspired, I feel like. It's like, why would I do that? Why would that be a thing that you can do? So, we'll give him a static defense structure for sure. Probably right here is going to be the least disruptive for that going on there. What's up, Bitty Beat? Yeah, each Cerebrate has a different faction, Jack. I have the information written down somewhere. I got some 2v2 stuff earlier. Let's go. Hands, classic, Sovereign Saga. Faction plan. So, Zerg for Rebel Yell, Zaz is Immikrinian, Arak is a Taltroth, and then I know that like VT02, VT04, you're fighting Zaz, VT06, VT07 is Arak. For the second campaign, I know that Dagoth is going to be Orkodi and Kag is going to be Gezirath. And that's always been... Kag has always been like what I think of when I think of Gezirath. Because Kag originally didn't exist in the... So Arak and Kag are like nameless. They're enumerated in the manual. Your Arak is the white Zerg that you fight in the Protoss campaign. As well as, I guess, it shows up at some point in Rebel Yell. I can't remember where right now, but it looks like VT06 and VT07. Oh, yeah, that would be NORAD 2. And... yeah, I guess I was planning on adding them to another map. I forgot about that. Yeah, those are the 2 Cerebrates you kill with Zeratul. It's Arak and Kag. Kag is the... are they purple in that mission? Because they shouldn't be. Oh, no, they're brown. That's what they are. The white and brown Cerebrate broods are Arak and Kag, respectively. But Kag in Stormborn shows up as the, like, I'm going to... the original vision for Kag was always that his brood was going to be so large that he could not physically control them all. Like, he just has... It's like dumping a horde of berserker dudes on the ground. Like, they might not be the most... Like, they're not going to be coordinated. They're going to be eating each other along the way. But this was like the fantasy we had. So, like, attack waves and AI attack waves are pretty limited in terms of how many units they can have. But, especially back then, we've actually made that much bigger now, so it's not as bad. But... yeah, we've effectively fixed that issue, actually, the more I think about it. But there was this plan that we had where I wanted to... I was talking to iQuare at the time. This is how far back this goes. And I was saying, yeah, I want an AI script where I can write attack add 1,000 Zergling. Because that's Kag. Is like, he's just going to flood the map with units. Yeah, I mean, they fight each other because they're so big. There's so many of them. Like, they're not always allied in that way. So obviously, like, what we would do to represent that is, like, have multiple players being the same color, have the same, like, configuration. So when you click on them, there's no way to tell that they're a different player and different element. As we were already doing in Sovereign Saga. But then Kag would, you know, have, like... I don't know. You'd have, like, most of them would be allied, but, like, some of them would be unallied to each other in, like, different ways. So you'd probably use, like, 5-6 players, something like that, just for Kag. And then, like, you'd run into other, like, entity issues and stuff. Yeah, I guess I try to stay away from using Feral or Renegade or whatever, because, like, StarCraft 1 had their own usage of those terms, and they weren't always consistent. And then, obviously, StarCraft 2, Feral Zerg means the fucking, like... candy-colored Zerg, the candy texture rock Zerg or whatever that are like we're World of Warcraft enemies, LOL XD and Heart of the Swarm. So you could say feral in the sense of like what the actual word feral means definitionally, in that they are not tamed, they're not domesticated, they don't have the same level of behaviors that a more pliable creature might have. Yeah, in that case, sure. No, it's not. StarCraft 2 is not I mean, even StarCraft 1 isn't canon in Crescillion in the sense that, like, in Cosmonarchy, in the sense that it doesn't matter if it happened, because it was so long ago or so far into the future, it's ambiguous. It's so far away, so who cares? We take a who cares approach to StarCraft 1, but StarCraft 2 canon is definitely not true, because StarCraft 2 has, like, dark god void element, lol, like, threatening the entire universe or whatever, so we can't, like, ignore that and say who cares. We just have to say, no, it didn't happen, because that's stupid. So, what's up, Blind Roar? Yeah, StarCraft. What do you mean StarCraft 2? There's only StarCraft 1 and then Cosmonarchy. Been a while since I seen you here, dude. Thanks for popping in, saying hi. Right now, for Blind Roar and anybody else who might not know, although Blind Roar might know, actually. He does follow the stuff sometimes. More than I always expect a man of his stature to do. But we are working on Sovereign Saga. This is a remake of the original campaign, using Cosmonarchy's units, and not really caring too much about the lore implications of that, because we're really just trying to remaster, like, gameplay-wise, remaster the old content, but have it be fit for Cosmonarchy. That way people can learn at a more familiar environment and a familiar pace, stuff that they've already experienced before, but with the Cosmonarchy bells and whistles. And I think this will be a great feeder for more casual players to check out our, like, maybe check out co-op versus AI, maybe check out some 1v1 stuff or some team games, and then some aspect, some component of those players will also be joining us for competitive. So, ARPA for Brood War if I follow Reller 2 Mental Omega. I am aware of Mental Omega, but I've actually only heard really bad things about their campaigns, which doesn't mean that I judge them that way. That's all I'm aware of, is that people are like, yeah, and the campaign spawned like 8 waves of nonsense or whatever, like, people have told me that they don't like experiences that they always have there, or that they're ridiculously difficult, even if they like that or whatever. So that's all the information I have about Mental Omega's campaign content. But yeah, it wouldn't surprise, I think anything that's a really big, like, we made our own game based on this game, basically, like, Cosmonarchy basically is its own game. It's technically a mod within StarCraft 1's engine, the original version, 1.16.1, the last patched version before the remaster came out. But despite that being the case, despite the fact that we have that going on for us, it plays like its own game, and I'm pretty sure Mental Omega does the same thing, as from what I've seen. So, yeah, that makes sense. What's up, Chumbecca? Campaigns are made for people that have been playing the game for 20 years. Oh, okay. So, yeah, enthusiast content. Enthusiast content. Plot is fucking LOL, but the actual gameplay of the campaign is great. It's balls hard, but it's lovely. Another loss for Zerg. Time delayed at Midnight Vigil. Do you mean on the channel? I think we just published a Zerg victory, actually. No spoiler, I guess, but... In a late game mission, would CAG build 300 Sovereigns as an attack wave? He definitely should, that's for sure. Ryan, I can't remember if you are... I assume based on your comment that you don't know this, but Jay Barino used to actually be in our community, like, way back, way before it wasn't even called Cosmonarchy back then. This is like 8 years ago now, 7 years ago or something. I think he's only playing Warcraft 3 stuff now, as far as I could tell when I checked his channel. But yeah, some people only found this community because of Jay Burrito, so it's really funny. Doing like thousands of waves defense mission, I'd be all for it. So the plan for this one, the Jay Burrito's cheat code. Oh yeah, that's right, I forgot about that. I think that was, I can't remember what the context of that was. I think it's because I know he really hates the Reaver. So there was like a meme of him hating the Reaver, and so I think maybe there's some Acantor related thing about that, but I can't remember that. It's a Gazithal response. That's what I thought too, yeah. That's what I thought. Yeah, I think so too, Blind Roar. I feel like the way that you'll see people checking the game out, like, way more people try a campaign than stick with multiplayer. Than even try multiplayer. Like, it's some absurd statistic, like 80% of RTS players have just played the single player, and they don't interact with multiplayer very much. So it's really it's like a huge number, and so we've been focusing on this enthusiast space of 1v1 and competitive stuff in general, even aside, like we've got a 2v2 tournament on the 1st of August, so tomorrow. So you need to have something here for the person who has no interest in the competitive space, be they like they don't even want to view it, they don't even want to watch the daily casts or whatever, they just want to play the campaign content. And we haven't really been catering to that particular crowd, even though, to give you some insight, Cosmonarchy only began because I wanted to make campaign content that was to a higher level of quality. And over time I was like, well, I also want to design my own tech trees because I think I could do something more interesting, or at the very least different in a cool way that also deserves to exist alongside the original content. So let me try that. And then lo and behold, it turned into this over the course of like 8 years or whatever. So now it's nice to go back to the roots a little bit. We still got Acropolis. We're still, Siki, a pro player from Starcraft 1, ended up winning Acropolis 4 in a 7-game series. It was super cool. And we had DeWalt show up for a show match, and we needed all 7 games to decide that too. Really nice. There was a great time this past Sunday, But let's get some campaign stuff too, guys. Campaign Monarchy, yeah. It'll be busy again when I have to cover ASL coming soon, but I still try to keep up. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Yeah, the ASL season definitely makes some people a bit more scamped. And I know there was like that StarCon recently for some of the more foreign, like North American homies. I'm still trying to get a couple of people in to maybe like first time, we've been courting like pro players and foreign, I guess like foreign players, whatever you want to call that, because some people will yell at me for calling them pros. Because they're like, they don't get paid, so they can't be a professional. It's like they don't make the most of their living off of their stream and their professional exploits as a gamer, so they can't be pros. They have to be amateurs or semi-pros or something. But whatever you want to call the foreign competitive scene with the high-level players, we've been courting some of those guys, but a lot of them don't really have like a web presence or a pull. A lot of them aren't really known outside of the fact that outside of the small school of like people who like way more people know who Artosis is compared to Siki, right? And that's not a slight on Siki, because Siki's like a really cool player. I love having him in our community. He's still gaming right now. He pinged earlier today looking for games. He's definitely enjoying it. So deserved in many ways. It's just that like I'm trying to hopefully get the attention of some people who have more of a reach, just so that they can show more people the project. And when that happens, there will be people who are like, oh, I wonder if this has a campaign. And then hopefully there's a bunch of campaign content available for people. What does ASL even mean? Afrika Star League. Don't listen to Jack for that. He's just being funny. He really wanted the Olympic. You can kind of, like, for those who are unfamiliar with the term, Star League is like a premier tournament, right? So we had like OSL, MSL, and now ASL. So it's just like the company that's doing it, basically. Usually it's like the sponsor or the organizer. Can't call it Star League, it's a trademark term. Oh, shit. At least in Korea, okay. I guess people just use it for shorthand, they say Star League. I'm only in the ESL. Shout out my ESL homies. The English as a second language Star League. It is a nice palate cleanser. I always check out ASL. I'm down with. I've been watching the ASL Open tournaments and stuff. I think I'm like moments away from finishing like one series away from finishing the latest one that Artosis uploaded on YouTube recently. So I'm always down for that. Yeah, I remember those days. That's for sure. Alright. Yeah, at some point I need to program in a function that will check every unit on the map, then compare it to the faction that the player is, and replace it dynamically. So I don't have to go back and like, oh, I have a Immerkrenia Nathrakor, and now I have to replace it in the map. So I don't have to do that. That'll be great technology one day, but until then, we wait. It's not super relevant for this moment. I don't think there's too many maps that would need an update like that anyway, so I think we're all right. Now, yeah, the plan for this mission, since people were asking about like the defense aspect of it, right? So you got your default play space is basically like this area, right? And I've expanded the map outwards, south and west. So to the northeast, you've got our default player, Zerg player, and they are going to be... They start off with way less stuff than default, of course, but they build up over time. That's kind of a hallmark of Cosmonarchy content, is they don't typically start with the whole map under their domain. And essentially, this Zerg player is going to have two different potential options for its opener, and this is going to be important for teaching players to scout. So they might go for something greedy, in which case if you scout it, you might be able to go across the bridges and attack. And if they go for something more, what would you say, more middle of the road, then going in across and attacking could be a problem. But either way, the player in the top left, the northwest there, he is going to be the support, the sort of distraction. And the guy in the top right is going to be the main guy that's going to go to the end game tech for this particular mission. Now, obviously, tech gets, just like in Starcraft 1's campaign, tech gets unlocked over time. But the Zerg will have access to Tier 2 here. So, beware. I think we're probably... we're probably going to be skipping the idea of the Zerg being able to go Hydrith. I don't really think that they want Hydras, per se. Maybe I have this guy in the top left do it as like a separation. But so far, the player has only found... they've only fought against Zetracors, Quasarcors, which is a factional Quasilisk for this particular player, this particular Zerg. And they fought against those people and then those two units. They fought against some static defense. They've seen some of the infested units, which are just like, mostly they're, I guess the cohort is like a custom unit or whatever. So it's not just an infested, like a unit with status effects, basically, like an infested Maverick or whatever. No. If I knew how to make maps, I would definitely would try to remake Mental Omega's The Remnant in CMBW, where play as Terran, Toss, and Forerunner being besieged by Terran, Toss, and Zerg. I have no idea what that map is, but it sounds pretty chaotic. I'm not aware of them ever massing Ovoleths in Sovereign Saga Mission 2. I haven't seen that, so not saying that's going to be a that's particularly going to be a bug, but I guess if they were they dropping you or something like that, because they might do that if you have gone for something on the they might do that if you've like expanded to an island or something. Head of Womanos. All right. 15 Ovoleths in the right-hand bottom base. Shrug. I don't think they are supposed to do that, so I don't really know what might have been the cause of that, per se. Maybe they're getting ready for a drop attack or something. As long as they were still actively doing stuff on the map and they weren't broken, it's probably not a bug. It's probably just some random shit the AI was doing in an unplanned way. I didn't tell them to do that, I'll tell you that much. So, top right Zerg, we're going to have him go for greedy Tier 2 rush, or he's going to go for something more middle of the road as far as the greed goes, but it'll be about like taking these bases that are closer to the player. The Zerg are going to want to generally take a lot of these bases that are on the other side of the bridge, or the other side of the bridge down here in the bottom right, or over here at the, we'll call it 3 o'clock for the sake of quick hand referring. The distraction guy up here, he might take this as his natural. He might also take this as his natural all the way in the bottom left with the mineral only, and then start pushing you with circuits, sunken colony push style. And then, sooner or later, this base will be, sacrificed. It'll be besieged in that way. The Newton Cradle treatment. I haven't heard of that one before, but I'm definitely familiar with the Zerg AI doing that, or AI in general doing that. It's honestly really funny that a lot of the missions feature Zerg for the current campaign missions. A lot of them feature Zerg. And then Sovereign Saga comes in and is like, how about some more Zerg? You will be fighting Terrans in the next mission and then the mission after. So I guess it's not all Zerg, but and there are some missions that don't feature Zerg. It's just really funny to see. People are like, damn it, I don't want to fight Zerg. They're scary. All right. I like the idea of this guy is basically he's taking some of these bases down here in the bottom. So we have to decide how we're going to do that. Oops, all Zerg, yeah. I believe what I did, essentially, was Zerg main town. Yeah, I did this for the... Yeah, I did this to handle, like, attack waves and some other stuff. So we're going to copy this one over and say... let's go ahead and save this as... Fair enough. Yeah, the AI makes a lot of units, so you do have to watch out for that. So, looking at here, we have Zeth, Vorv, Quasilis, Quasricor, Nathcor. Yeah, they don't actually make Vorvs in the original, but or Naths for that matter, but that's in the second mission. But in this one, they're gonna do in Zorthricor. You're gonna have to deal with them having Lake as access too, which is pretty spooky. We don't really have to do anything over here. We just have to scroll down to where the build order happens. It's right about here. All right, so when do we want them to expand? So they build their pool, right? The other stuff that they start off with here is a Spraith and a Larvosk, so we should... What up, Alexander and Shambler? We get Shamans or Ancials in this mission? That's the fun part. I think I'll let you build a Cestus, though. I think that makes sense. Oh, maybe I'll give you a lodestone pre-placed right here, so that when you build your ministry, it'll be attached. You can also just garrison it, though, currently. So let's do this. Lodestone. 384. Yeah, you're going to want to have detection later on, for sure. But I think Shamans are going to be in mission 4. They might be in this mission. Because I got to think about what I'm giving the player. Fulcrum for Vulture and Cyclops, probably only. So you won't have Goliath or any add-ons. And then... Yeah, the player is always going to be playing the melee factions in vanilla, But in the expansion for Brood War, I'm going to have you play Futurist Federation for the UED, Zorthos Tendril for Kerrigan Zerg, I guess you are at that point, and then Sacred Saber for the Protoss is what I wrote down, but I might change that. I don't think you should be Starbound, even though you're playing a lot of... Well, you're playing with a lot of, like, Nerazim Dark Templar stuff, so maybe. Oh yeah, no star pad for sure in this mission. Shaman. So I guess we'll say tech tree plan. Big tech tree plan for... Oh. And then I guess we'll say... Oh yeah, they become Hekaton in the Special Forces unit or whatever for the Jacobs installation. I forgot about that plan. We don't really need to worry about this. We're just going to do VT, so... I think the Cestus is disabled in VTO2. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, you're going to be like... It's going to set up so that if you let them handle... If you let them have this stuff for free, in air quotes, you know, like if you don't contest it, they will eventually have this whole area locked up in defenses. I see. So as soon as the AI started in VTO2, it tries to expand. But that makes sense. What I'm probably going to need to do is kind of recycle an old method of handling some of this stuff that I had for when I was actually doing campaign missions more straightforwardly, more completely. I might have to basically like randomize through the... Well, I definitely am going to ran jump, but I have to decide like when is the inflection point? Is it like right at the beginning of the map? I guess it wouldn't be a ran jump. I would have to randomize some stuff inside the map, read that particular thing. So I got to just pick a unit ID that I'm going to check the death of when I'm configuring the AI. Do I want there to be an order flow of it? Your first time, they always do this. Or is it always going to be random? I think it might be fine if it's always going to be random. But I think this is also the first time I'm doing this kind of thing in a campaign, so I might want to be a little bit more hands-on, like hand-holdy. All right. We don't need them to attack super early on, I think, so we can probably delay this a little bit. But also we should do... So we'll do... I think their default will be the greed, and the secondary one will be contain. So we'll say this. All right. So if they're going to go greed, they probably delay their expansion a little bit. Or would they expand it around... Would they try to... Basically, what I'm getting at is their first move to expand from their current location? The answer is yes, but we then need to pick a different base, I think. Unless... I guess they always take this as their first base. And then their second base is this if they're greeding, or it's this if they're containing. So, actually, we can just go ahead and place this here. And then we check for, you know, what we're doing on the greed side of things. And if they're going for the greed, they're going to do something a little bit different after the expansion. I think they'll go for... They'll probably go for the tech, almost an instant tech of the Zorkis behind that expansion. And then maybe they'll go like an extra Larvosk into Zorkis. And then... yeah, so we'll say build 3 Kagrin 5. And then I guess after the Zorka Shroud is done, we can do a Vornath upgrade pretty soon after that. But do we want to do it immediately, or is this the point where they go for their next expansion? Because by this point, you know, you're talking about a weight build, a full weight build on the Kagrin and the Zorkis, even if they have full money, which they might not have full money for all of this stuff right now. So we can just quickly pop open the Zerg tech tree, remind ourselves that it's a 60-second build time. So this is minimum like, probably like, you're probably looking at a 2-minute wait, especially if we go ahead and do this. So then I think after 2 minutes after putting down their natural, do they go for their third and it's at a different location? Probably. For now, I'm just calling the expansion logic natively, but we're going to do that. We're going to do that differently in the final cut of the script, because what we are actually going to do is declare where they're going to expand to, which is, it's a little bit more involved than just calling a function right now. So I think what we'll do is expand here. Yeah, because I'm going to have like a build order for I'm going to have like the same build order you're seeing here, where I'm like telling it what to build and when time, and then the priority is the last number there. And then all of that. I'm telling them to do that, and I'm going to tell them to do that for the expansions as well that they're taking. There is a default where they just do whatever, but in this particular case, like this base could be default probably. Although I still want to have them take expansion, like put defenses in specific locations, I think. Because the greed variant of this probably isn't going to take this area very quickly. I think this might even be like, we might even have it be that the base over here is like its own like separate thing that's not even attached to a resource area. They just take this as a, technically it's an internal town, but it won't be like an expansion area town or whatever. So. I was thinking about putting a base up here. This could actually be like a gas-heavy area or something. Yeah, I think something like that could be kind of cute. Where there's no minerals over there, but there's a couple geysers or whatever. Let's just make sure that that's actually being taken by the right town. Yeah, it looks like it is. I don't think we had any busted towns in this map, actually, which is... It doesn't always happen like that, so... Ah, we do have this one. This might be an easy fix, though. Just do this. Yeah. The star location doesn't matter to that degree, where we have to have it be something real bad. Okay. We do want to make sure that we're ticking main town for these in the status bar there, because they can be it's just I think it's a dirty search for terrain distance, so it doesn't take into account cliff or whatever, which means if I put like as an example, if I put a static defense structure right here, it might technically think, well, the closest resource is actually up here. I don't think it would. Just to avoid that being a problem later, we're just going to go ahead and take care of that. Okay. Minimize this for now. Go back to the script for a second, just to remind myself. So this is the contain. This is like the stuff I haven't actually written out yet. The original script was really simple for VTO2 because all they really do is expand a few times and then put static defense down. As far as their build order goes, they don't actually have any tech progression. So we're getting a little bit more complicated here, but not too crazy. So once they expand, we'll do another minute wait, and then they'll go for their Vornath. And then when they have their Vornath finished, which of course could institute dynamic delays if the player destroys a tech structure, you know what I mean? Like then they'll have to rebuild it somewhere. But yeah, that seems like I have that there. A little bit of... It's actually a little... I am considering this from a tactical perspective, but... like, as far as where the rocky ground is placed, that's unbuildable terrain, and if you're going to try to like do the equivalent of a bunker rush or something in this map, then I have to be aware that that could be something the player does. And I also have to be aware that the unbuildable terrain is going to factor in for the Zerg when they're doing something a little bit more aggressive. All right, I think I want to get to a point where the AI, my goal for today, I guess you could say, and for the stream, is to get to the point where the AI feels like they're in a pretty good spot for the early game and their initial moves. And I want to set up the randomizer trigger as well. Let's go ahead and make sure that we're working with our AI script in the correct method. So we have T5H and TER6. So let's do T5H. Script ID. I haven't picked Ahmed's spawn point yet. This is in the original map, so I just haven't detailed that yet. Yeah, the original map had some weird stuff because you weren't really ever able to actually see a lot of those details. They put them in places you would never be able to spot, and I'm not really sure what they were... What did they mean by this? Like, I have no idea. Not a clue. Nobody seems to know they would do that. There's like a weird mouse inaccuracy with SEM draft when you're zoomed in. Ahmed ARG making you paranoid. Ahmed is epic. I'm really glad he's in our game. Really glad he chose to be in our game. Okay. Ah, we had infested area town. Well, we can delete that. Although, this is the same kind of logic that we would have for the kind of... this is the same first initial function that I'm going to need to do in order to do some of this. So... for the localized expansion. Okay. So we're going to have to remember that we were here. I guess I can just leave that on that side. And then we have the town handling. Hey, what's up, Kenny? ASC3 is only here as an extension because it is the programming language, in air quotes, the scripting language for Starcraft AI. And we have syntax highlighting. It's a user-defined language. We have syntax highlighting for this stuff. And we defined it as a custom thing. And then it just reads that automatically in Notepad++ because of the ASC3 extension. It is just a text file, so not terribly stupendous. But that's why we do it that way. Okay. So let's write out the initial build order for the contain. We know that they're going to... I guess we didn't quite finish the greed one, but that's okay. We got it to the point where it's Vornath is done, and then I guess he can go for another base after that. And then, you know... take care of that. These build order components are going to be replaced with stuff like that. We have expansion natural. We can do expansion high ground, and then expansion. I guess it'll be close high ground south. Expansion. Bridge south. And then what else do we have? Expansion high ground north. So instead of close, this can be center. I think those are the main bases that they're going to take. The only other one that I can think of that they would reliably take is the gas-only base. If we can put expansion Ridge Valley. Yeah, it is nice. It is nice when you see something, you're like, oh, cool, that's different. I could see that for sure. I think that one blocks a little bit of pathing. I'll leave it off to the side there. I'm bouncing around them for a little bit, but it'll be worth it, promise. I like that little doodad there. That looks nice. Okay, so we have our greed build that'll cap out at taking... I guess we would call this expansion high ground center. And then it'll call the north, and then it'll call this one. Say tier 2, Spire, Mutaflug. That's the plan. Fraud Ridge? You're a fraud, Ridge. I can't even harvest anything from you. Fraud. Oh yeah, when can they attack on the greed build? Probably when they build the Zorkas. Then we'll just bump this a little bit in time before they take their third base. Take that out of our way so it's a little bit easier for us to see what we're doing. Okay, so the build order for the containment version of this AI that's not the default. So until we implement the triggers, nothing I do here is going to be reflected, but it shouldn't take very much effort to implement those triggers. So, and I did set that was one of my goals. Again, like the goal is to like get the AI working get the AI working, and in the process assemble the trigger for randomizing their game plan, synchronizing it across both players, and then also get the second AI working as well. It's not just the first one, so I'm going to do both of that. All right, so we are looking at it from the perspective of this guy going for the containment. He's going to take this base, and then he's going to take this one. So the other thing that's worth doing here is setting up a area town type deal over here at some point, creating a script. We can kind of do that with Kriggs, but the only reason we were having that functionality added to the game is so that we didn't have to modify the AI script. So mappers could kind of do something like what I'm doing. It's a little bit easier to do it just through the script, so that's what we're gonna do. But first we'll do the containment stuff. So we know that their first expansion on the containment front, which is gonna be a bit more aggressively minded. So the build order component expand is gonna take this. Oh yeah, so we can define this base a little bit more freely then. We basically just take this hatch and we set its like priority to 199 or whatever, and we're going to mark it as an AI layout, and that will basically tell this AI that, hey, this is the highest priority base to take. So we don't have to do a manual call here. We can just call an expansion like normal. However, we might still want to give it a custom build order if we don't want to do everything through the... Yeah, I think we'll probably want to do a custom build order, and we'll probably want to do a custom build order depending on if it's greed or if it's contain. Because if it's contain, it's going to be spreading the stuff down here a lot sooner. And if it's greed, then it might not bother doing that as much. It might just... It might stop here, right? But then again, I think this side of the bridge is going to be taken care of by a different call entirely. And so we might be able to just have it be whatever the default is, plus our modifications. So we might go ahead and do like... You know, it doesn't need a Spraith because there's no air threat besides like lifted structures or whatever, but I'm still making the AI do it because what I want the player to be looking at is like, this is what what an AI is going to do. Like they're building anti-air defenses in case there's an air threat. They don't know that you don't have access to ground threat, right? Like, or that you only have access to ground stuff. They don't know that. So, or, you know, if they do, they're still treating it like, something. So, like it could be a thing, so beware. I'm gonna go hatch here at 110. The subsequent hatches. Will I want to give them Khaz'trith tech at this level? Maybe. But I feel like that's really hard to actually break through. Which I guess is valid for this mission, but still. Alright, we're going to pull the Larvosk here. Oop. Say it is that as well. We're going to have to draw a location over these guys and assign the layouts to this town, but that's not too big of a deal. And they're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 larva producers from this one base, which is pretty good. Yeah, I think we'll wait on the Khaz'trith. I don't think we need that in this mission. They're already going to have, like, bridges and lakeys, so I think they're going to be okay in the containment. Plus, it gives the people who know about the tech tree something to look forward to, and the AI is using it against them. You know? We don't need that one. We will actually need a shroud placement over here somewhere. Where do we want them to build this sucker? Over here is kind of cute. Yeah, I guess you can make Cyclops in this mission. That is the thing I've planned. I feel like building a fulcrum for just vultures isn't really that good. I'm really not going to do those really tiny % chances. They're so hard to actually to implement that. I mean, I'm not above doing it if it's an idea that I think is really good or something, but I think I'm going to go ahead and say no. I think. All right. So, good to go here. This base will be taken care of. We'll draw location around it. Oh shit, that's the first location of the whole game. Alright, well, in that case... Yeah, I forgot I hadn't really done any configuration or anything. I don't need to match the... I don't need to match the location nomenclature right now. I can always go back and fix that later. Okay, so we have... I guess we can do this through locations, but I can also just do it through coordinates. I don't really feel too bothered by it. We'll do that in a moment here. So rather than init area town, we're going to just call this one init natural. Around center. Around north. Valley. So we do have locations initially because that's what it was. Instead here, we're going to do the high ground center. The resource area for this right now is 10. High ground north is 9. This is 14. Okay. Will it get tier 2 static defense? Probably, but I don't know when I'll tell it to do that. So, okay, so we have our calls here to create scripts using these functions. Expansion init natural is the only thing that is currently keyed, and I haven't actually updated it from the VTO2 setup. I am looking at it from the perspective of, you know, we've got our greed, going into tier 2, mutaflood later. Got our contain. We wanted to write this out for when they can attack. It's pretty early. It's just a minute after expanding, whereas that is... It's like 2 or 3 minutes before... I think if we go ahead and do this, it'll be like 2.5 minutes before after their expansion if they're greeting, which is a pretty big difference in your first attack wave. I know that I wanted them to have a second Larvosk, so... Okay. Whoa. I requested my desktop, apparently. Jeez. Absolutely praying. Okay. All right. Easy clap. All right, I'm going to run to the bathroom real quick. When I come back, we'll be looking a little bit more deeply at the containment build order, as well as maybe adding some production entries, like extra hatches or something. I think like a hatch here would be cool. We'll probably do that real quick, actually, and just do main town, don't west. With like a circle fence. Cool. All right. So I'll go ahead and like plug these into the main build scripts for both the containment, which needs to be done fully, and the greed, which I didn't add this many yet. I only added a second Larvosk. I'm going to add the third, fourth, and the hatch. Probably like second Larvosk hatch, third, fourth Larvosk. And then greed will be done until tier 2, basically, I think, for the main build order, right? We're talking about expansions, so we have to write those out. But then I'll basically hit all of these notes for the containment one, and we will go into that. I do have to like place like Lake-is placements for where the AI's guards are going to go to and stuff, so we'll figure that out too. BRB. I have returned. Hope you guys are all having a good time. And hot tamale, we have like 15 people watching right now. Just me working on Sovereign Saga stuff. So I guess you guys must like this kind of thing. Because I guess I get like 30 viewers when I'm casting, but to have all of you guys still hanging out here after all that, legendary. Glad to hear it. I'm gonna quickly update my file explorer because I am. My file pilot, I am a little bit out of date apparently, so we're just gonna go ahead and close this down. Run this exe. All in place, I guess. Well, that was pretty quick. I don't know why it created a new instance for some reason. How do I add a tab? Do I not get to? I don't know how to work the software again. I guess I do this. Control T. Interesting. My color scheme has changed. Working on a Unity game, building features into a character controller, haven't totally decided on the gameplay loop. We do need, listen, I gotta be honest with you guys, anybody watching this, please know that we need more indie games, not less. People are sometimes poo-pooing the idea of having more in that way, but it's not true, okay? It really is not true. You need more, we need more fresh ideas. We need more epic ideas, so keep making more games is what I say. Someone out there is going to enjoy it, for real, for real. Even if it's just you, but it probably won't just be you. Also, building features in is definitely a good idea. It's a good way to do it. Great way to get used to Unreal in general, or Unity, or whatever engine you might be working with, is to just go into a thing and be like, okay, well, whatever game I decide to make, you're probably going to need to be able to move around, jump, whatever, and so I'm going to figure out how to implement that, you know? It's a good way to go about it. Because you're getting familiar with the basics, and you're also seeing how much of a workload it's going to be to do stuff like that, and then you can figure stuff out. So, building the feature list makes a lot of sense. So, we are going to be doing some of this for sure. What do we want to do for the containment build order, I guess, is what we got to ask ourselves. All right, greed before, like, as... pick one, we'll do a 5K grunt. this down a little bit. I think that'll be good. I guess one thing we might want to try to do, if we're going to lay it out in this way... I don't know. Yeah, I guess we'll just have to see how it goes. It's probably going to be fine. Choosing the right Kagrant is not the AI's strongest suit right now. Banana peel? Like it makes you slip? Damn, that water's been sitting there. It's getting worse. Okay, good. A month of networking, active ragdolls. Yeah, for sure. Physics and networking don't always play very nicely, that's for sure. I know a lot of stuff does client-side sim, and it's just like, who cares if it's not in sync? But when you get a game that is in sync, it's pretty fucking good. It feels nice as a player, for me anyway, to know that like whatever I'm seeing is what the other guy's also seeing. Be it competitive, cooperative, anything like that. Okay. So, a minute after they expand, or I guess a little bit less than a minute. Right. About a minute. They can attack as the contain player. And then what do they do after that? Maybe we make them wait another half a minute. Make them build a Vornath. I guess they should probably build their second hatch early, actually. And then probably, because this is going to be the more aggressive one, so then we probably want to copy over the third, yeah, this. Okay. high ground south, bridge south, high ground center, high ground north, bridge valley. Yeah. Just making sure we have all the expansion calls in both of the build orders. Okay, so we're gonna need some. Nice work. Good stuff, Trebek. You had a working radio. I bet not very many people had working radios in their Game Jam games. Just saying. Camera was a little out of alignment for this whole time, so. These... I didn't know what I was listening to, but apparently it rolled into Elden Ring Night Rain original soundtrack. I didn't know that. And I was going to say, man, this is so generic and boring. And then I saw what it was, and I was like, well, I guess that makes sense, but still. Okay. So for the containment build order, we have them start off with their second hatch after being able to attack. Then they go for a Vornath Pond, a third larva producer in the form of a second... I guess it's fourth larva producer. And then they're going to take the South High Ground base. And then we're going to wait a minute and do build... a shroud. I think we can just copy this one. All right, let's go ahead and we make sure we place the Iral Iris and the Spire locations here for the build order. Okay, cool. So I think that's actually the whole build order. It's just once they build the Iral Iris, they go for the Spire. It's pretty basic in that respect. And then they go for those expansions and the greed builds a little bit later. Holy shit. I forgot about Coffee Stream Bot. I feel like it hasn't been even running most of the time, but I must have just missed its messages earlier. Do a quick check. Sometimes I like to be on the lookout for matches, hype 1v1s or whatever. Okay. We have our build orders. The AI will do its thing. It will expand to the locations we have dictated it so. And now we basically just need to decide well, I guess we're going to see what happens when we do it this way, but I liked the idea of this base, but I didn't decide to actually do it properly. That's really funny. I'm gonna have to update the on-center stuff again. Because I took our ridge away, so it changed the number here. So that's high ground south is now 12, by the way. Ridge is still 13. Natural is 6. High ground center is 10. 9, Ridge Valley is 14. I guess I just swapped with something else, I don't know. Oh shit. That doesn't seem like it's going to change anything though, so that's fine. I guess it swapped with this for some reason. Fine by me. Everything else is correct, so don't really have to worry about it in this moment. Okay. So I think maybe the bases will take care of themselves, actually. If I've done this correctly. Obviously, I was talking about maybe doing different build orders or whatever, but we might not need to do that. I don't know. Hard to say. Oh yeah, and I do need this. Yeah. It's an unthinkable amount. Yeah, imagine. You keep imagining that, Jack. Yeah. Yeah, man. Yeah, perfectionism, the perfect can often be the enemy of the good. And it's better to have something that is good than something that isn't anything, because it never got finished, because it's not existing. So, that's what I like to think about. Well, I guess that's kind of the thing, right? Is like sometimes there can be really cool ideas people have for stuff. And so in those situations, it would be really neat to see some cool ideas. But yeah, you do have to ask yourself sometimes, like, for why though? What's the real payoff for this kind of? I don't know anything about Thief and the Cobbler. It's my first time hearing about it, I think. Alright. So we're gonna do this little outpost here. So, bridge east. Sometimes I like to think about it as cosmic concept of the Great Filter, where civilizations fail in some way and then never attain a level of mastery over the stars or whatever. I think there are creative great filters you got to pass through that not everybody does. And so there are ones that are like, I don't think about my stuff very much, so it doesn't end up attaining greatness. And then there's people who think way too much about it and become perfectionists and never really go past that. And the people who never start because they're too busy trying to make sure that their plan before they actually execute on it will be the perfect thing. When in reality, the only perfect plan is to necessarily fail a bunch of times, but in the process, learn a lot and get better as a result. In what way do you ask that question, Vinny? Creatively or civilizationally? That I feel like is beyond my pay grade. I'll say that we've definitely passed a bunch of them already. Jury is still out on if that will continue to be the case. I'm sure I got the right setup here. These are the same players, so. Or they're not the same player. They're the same color, so it's not possible for me to do that other one. I think we're gonna be all right, Vinny. That's fine. Writ large. Oh, I think I'm too American to, and I mean this in a positive way. I think I'm too American to really pontificate about a civilization that doesn't involve me. But I'm sure even after I go, things will be all right. Well, the problem with the Starcraft 2 one is that when you go out onto the map and destroy the Zerg, then they still spawn in waves with Nidus worms and stuff. So it's not actually it doesn't fix a key problem that was present within the original, which is that it's not challenging the higher class player, but it's also there's not really any reaction to if the player goes out and attacks. In StarCraft 2, the lack of reaction is because nothing changes when you're trying to do stuff. But in StarCraft 1, the issue is when you kill the enemy Zerg, you still have to wait the whole time out, right? Which is a much more primitive issue, you could say. So it seems maybe worse in some way or whatever. But honestly, I think like the fact that the whole AI like just ignores the fact that you killed their stuff, that feels really bad. So I think it's bad no matter what, to be honest. I did forget about armies of Exegos spawning units as you attack their structures or whatever. It's really weird. No, Ryan, calm down. It's okay. I think it was Jack asked, or no, it was 3Crow asked me yesterday if I would be able to do that, or it was on one of the streams I was doing for Sovereign Saga recently. I guess it was probably 2 days ago. He asked me about dropping those. The programming that is really challenging, but maybe it will be something we achieve later on. Just not something I'm, like, the amount of required effort there is pretty steep, so I'm not super focused on it in this moment. It was kind of epic to have the Forerunners in Cosmonarchy just randomly, you know? Well, it's kind of sad story. It's a sad state of affairs when you consider that StarCraft 2's maps, a lot of the times you're not attacking the core infrastructure that's creating the threat like, you know, you would in an RTS. So there's a few missions where you do that, and it's like, oh, yeah, this is what an RTS feels like. Cool. It's like, sort of, what we got going on here. Yeah, I hate communism. Sorry, Chimbek. Okay. I think that's appropriate. What happens if there's a player building in the way? Well, if they can't access that building site, they'll go to the next available accessible one. If there are none accessible, then they just wait. So, that's how it works. Cosmonism. Osmunism. I guess that is kind of your game. Yeah, that is the shared resource game mode. I was thinking a little bit about how to implement that recently, but I gotta hold off on that until it's good and ready, till the money's sent and I'm caught up with some other stuff. It's Lucy! What's up, dude? So I think this is an appropriate number of circuit Cesians. I don't know about you guys, but I feel like it's pretty good. And this base only needs a few. Good. Carved in empty space to the structure close to the bridges. I don't know which one you're talking about, but glad you like it. I guess we would probably want to add the hatches to. This is probably enough. Oh yeah, this is like ancient history shit right here. Oh, you mean over here? Yeah, this is, you can't get in here, yeah. It's blocked. There's another one on the other side over here that's a little bit more obvious, I guess, but I mean, I guess if you land stuff here or whatever, it's there you go. You can hide a structure over there and hope that they don't attack you. Wait out the timer for 30 minutes. Oh, that's another thing. The original mission, I don't think, took 30 whole minutes. But our like the speed of on fastest speed, it took less than 30 minutes, I think. But our countdown timer is actually real world accurate, so this mission will take longer, I think. All right. So this Zerg is gonna have a fun time trying to sunken creep you, basically. Yeah, that's not... yeah, obviously, if you destroy the whole Zerg, you're going to get out early. And we'll reference that. I guess the other thought that I had... Well, no, I guess that's fine. Zerg AI cannot use the Agrolith currently. I don't think I'll be changing that anytime soon. I guess they probably could use it if I requested it, but I don't know how their AI would work with it. Like, I've never experimented with that, so... Yeah, the cloaked, partially transparent structures are all indications of where to build, and also they have a priority value, which isn't super relevant right now because they're all the same priority. But the AI is smart enough to know, the CPU is smart enough to know that, like, if there's no available Kagra to build on, then just wait until the spot is available. Until the spot's actually buildable. Protoss AI also check for power in the same way. So, that's pretty smart. Yeah, and so we've basically got the setup there. This guy initially. We haven't done his... we have not done his actual build order yet. Unsurprisingly, Mr. Epic OSTs did not give me a good song, so I'm downvoting him. Get out of here, dude. He might. I mean, he's definitely the best performance in the whole... definitely the best performance that we had in Starcraft 2, I think. I don't know. I don't know, I guess, I remember having a real strong dislike to the Warcraft 3 ending. The Reign of Chaos ending. The Night Elves, Night Elf human orc thing. There was a period of time where I allowed myself to very briefly fantasize about a Warcraft 3 Cosmonarchy type conversion, but that game is so fucked up to try to edit in a like significant way or whatever. So. And honestly, it's probably for the best that I didn't dedicate years of my life to that. It's already a little ludicrous that I've dedicated this much to Cosmonarchy as it is. But I am appreciative. I do dig it. Yeah, Armies of Exego, I guess, probably had a... I can't really... Was it the final mission that you had to defend? I can't remember. It was alright. It wasn't the worst experience, but I don't recall it having a lot of value. Oh shit, Cauldron Ghost just put a bunch of stuff into a cauldron and ghosted. No, I guess they didn't do that last part, but that's the end of my pun. Thank you. Let's play cat and mouse in Volcano Escape. Yeah, big car. Do not mix Fanta with Pepsi. I don't think we have either in the fridge. Saved. But that fridge probably did have some of those at one point. Just like it had worms as fishing bait. And they turned into dirt over enough time. That was kind of impressive. I didn't know worms could do that. Yeah, finally aged. What's up, Beaver? How you doing? I think and Ozlix is right now working on trying to get back to the Escozy in-game music stuff. I've got some stuff from him, but he wasn't happy with the one that he sent me, and the other one is just the menu music. Eventually, he wants to do a little bit more. But I think he was having some difficulty. He had a drive failure, so his progress got wiped, and he's just trying to build back his files. I don't know if he ever stored any of his like project files out anywhere. But Mesk's final hard drive, yeah. That's a moment right there. I don't know that Off the Dome Flame. I haven't actually played a lot of FPS games, I feel like. Not to the degree I've explored the RTS genre, that's for sure. I have played a number of the older FPS games, I guess. But we're talking like Doom and stuff, boomer shooter territory. Alright, we know we're going to do the Hydrith then for these guys. Where do we want to stuff this? I guess right here against the wall is fine. So, some of that. I think if they go this ridiculous containment route, honestly, let's think about it like this, right? If the containment route is the play, so it's randomized to that, there probably needs to only be like an additional percentage chance that they do this crazy proxy strat, right? Maybe not, I don't know. But, oh, I guess if I do it through create script, then it won't be constantly reattempted. That'll be something that I can actually recursively call over time. I can have them try to make the town, and then have it just be, like, when there's no town there, I just make it again, or whatever. That's probably fine. Because this will be automatically taken care of as once the town is created. So I can probably do that through, like, either a trigger or, obviously I could just do it in the script somewhere. Well, I'm done drinking my white monster, and I'm done drinking my water, so I gotta get more of the latter. And apparently I have a drink anyway, so I'm gonna go ahead and take care of that. By take care of that, I mean have it. I will be back in just a moment. And I have returned, as promised. Behold the mixed drink. It's not alcoholic. It is slightly caffeinated. Hell yeah, dude. I think I've had like 2 ghost energies in my whole life. Flames BRB, so I'm gonna answer his question as a troll, since he won't be here. There's no plan here. They will just take that base and start mining from it. Enjoy. This guy having access to pool into Shroud with the Vornath makes sense because he's got more minerals, for sure. I guess it's natural, give him more gas. Whereas this one is a bit more rooted in the like default base with less minerals. Yeah, the fizz free from Celsius is actually pretty legit. I don't mind that. Okay, so we have our general base layout here. Not too complicated, of course. Grab a Spraith, I think. I don't think we're going to need another Larvosk, but I'll go ahead and put one up here anyway. Just thinking about like the gas expenditures for the Hydrith Den. I guess since we're working with the Hydrith Den on this mission, as well as Tier 2 being there for the Spire. So I don't think we'll do Skibact or Algorg in this mission. In the original Hydra mission, they did have Ultralisks, which was pretty wild. I think they had Ultras and Defilers in this in the original Hydra version of this. It's really whack to think about. Anyway, in Cosmonarchy Sovereign Saga Mission 3 for the Terrans, I think we'll limit our Zerg tech tree to Zeth, Quaz, Nath, Vorv, and Zorthrakor, Lakis. And then in Zorthrakor, Lakis is only going to be for the top right player. The top left player will have Hydra, Izzy. Mission 3! Zerg mining from geysers. What faction of the Zerg will be up against this map? It's Immikrenya. Yeah. I kind of want to make it so that there's some sort of factional thing that the Hydrith Den provides. Since the Quadricore provides that splash damage, and it's actually been pretty effective against bio armies in the campaign testing so far, the Iziracore might be, like, turned into a bit of a single target melee unit. Yeah, coffee is pretty good. I still stand by coffee for sure. No, not everything for the Immikrenya Tendril will infest, of course. Like, the Quadricore is, has the spray, right? So that's not an infesting thing. But rather than having Crushing Tide, I think we'll have Saber Siphon. Like the Teth.
I don't like that this is blurring the image now. Is there something I can do with this? It might just be the driver that's going on there. The theming of the Imakrenia is to... They'll have more melee than some of the other factions. Or short range, I guess. Rokor strains. Like the Quasilis turning into a Quasrokor. Technically the Izirokor is losing range with the Rosirokor. They get up right in your face, and then some of them... They basically use the melee plus the enemy against them. So, like, splash damage is using the enemy's numbers against them. Saber Siphon uses them for fuel, for healing. And then, of course, the Infestation, obviously, is self-explanatory as well, so... Skathrakor. I have to double check something real quick about the village here. So it was the... Can only had a match recently that desynced, right? Humbling River. And... oh, okay, yeah, it was... That makes sense. So we pushed new desync logging recently, and I was hoping to see some of the I was hoping to process some of that logging stuff for the latest desync, but the latest desync was on an older version because they're more rare now, so I just have to wait. All right, I've checked on that. Now we can move over here to fire this file up. Oh, Blender? Blender, are you there, Blender? Just wanted to call and say fuck you, Blender. Wait for it to load the textures. It's gonna take a sec. Rendering this guy is going to take a little bit too, so... Oh, did I do something wrong? Good. Yeah, I really cannot search for music these days. Everything is terrible. And it's always the ones with like anime pictures as the art too. Why is that there? Nobody likes that. Weird. They're both Imakrenia. They're the same. It's just Zaz, but a second player that serves as a separate like part of the brood or whatever. More team gains now? Are there not as many desyncs? Yeah, the floating point fixed a lot of, turning to fixed point fixed a lot of desyncs for sure. Perspective is so fucked up. I don't know how anybody even uses it. Okay. I swear it was possible to select at some point, and I don't really know why my selection thing is bugged out. I don't know. I can't do the usual box anymore. What a stupid program. Okay, we figured it out. I hit the W key at some point. Very helpful. Just widening the profile a little bit because he's going to be tankier than the default IZ and have that sustain factor as well. Yeah, you have to have models. You can't hand animate all those frames. One thing I've learned about the when doing a SCSI work, you really want to see if you can change the idle animation, the initial frame. It will help you out a lot trying to... when you're trying to build this impression that it's a different unit at a glance. So, like, this looks very different than the default IZ. Just because he's got his tail in a different pose and the legs are in a different spot. We can probably do a little bit more by doing this. That's a minor note comparatively. What up, Arbuz? Yeah, I'm doing an Immicrinia IZ real quick. I'll work on the spikes separately, I think. I think this is actually going to look pretty convincing in-game, but there's only one way to find that out. Is to go in-game. I think it'll look pretty good in game. Man. All right, so now we have to figure out this stuff here. I made Blender try too hard, so it's gonna... Oh, never mind, it didn't crash. I'm impressed. What's up, Zibit? Well, as you can see by the... Oh, it's gonna take a second. As you can see by the refined attack animation, there shouldn't be any... Yeah, there's not gonna be any clipping or anything. Big shout out to Solstice for the rig and the initial animation. I'm just kind of fucking around, but I think that will give it a nice timing on that. Walk cycle is about the same, but I don't know, maybe we can do something here. Yeah, it's a little bit different. It's mostly in the tail, which is appropriate since the tail's a different thing now. Yep. Alrighty, I guess we're going to go ahead and have this guy rendered out pretty soon. Alright, let's take a look at our file path here. I believe we're looking at something different now. CM dev mpq unit CM fz. We're just going to start with the... do I want to increase the graphic size? I don't know if I really do. I think right now we can just go for the output. Cinematics. Never really... not really somebody who can say that, because I'm not the one who would do it. That would have to be somebody else who would handle a lot of that. I'm not going to preview the output, and we are... I'll rename this to row 04. I guess we don't need this guy to be omnidirectional in the render. We might try without it and see what it looks like. He's attacking to the right, but that means when he's flipped... and he flips the attack, he's going to attack to the left sometimes, which is kind of interesting, I guess. It's kind of like the Goliath walk animation. But I'm going to say you're wrong, Zivit. It would be pretty difficult for a team like us. We don't have, like... I can't pay any of the modelers, and I don't even pay all of my bills through Cosmonarchy, right? Like, I don't even have it that good. I got to work a part-time job to make ends meet. And not bemoaning my fate, I'm very grateful for the support we do get. But factually, we're not in a position where we could do stuff like cinematics, you know? That would also be like a pretty big marketing move without a lot of stick, you know what I mean? Like, it would be awesome to see, but that's like niche fan service stuff for a community that's pretty small compared to like what it would be required for that kind of thing to be worth the expenditure. And that's okay, because not every time, you're not going to do everything that's going to give you a high ROI, return on investment. But in the case we're at right now, the stuff that we're doing that's not high ROI, it has to be stuff that we can actually do and we have a demonstrated track record of doing so that we're not like stretching ourselves beyond our means. And trying to focus a lot on that right now would be beyond our means for sure. What part-time jobs exist nowadays? Grocery store jobs a lot of the time are pretty part-time. Being a cashier somewhere, probably. In fact, I feel like it's mostly part-time stuff these days. So I feel like we can probably start the render on this guy. Go ahead and hit output GRPs, and we'll just take a bit. We're going to go into GPTP, and I guess I'll have to give this guy Kaiser Blades for now. So... start defining our custom unit here, since we're adding this guy to the factional breadth of what we have. The Rosira Core. And give him 20 bonus health over the competition. Let's say 100 minerals instead of 75. I think that's fine. Guy's got lifesteal with 2 armor pen as a melee unit. He's probably going to be pretty strong. We might not want him to actually have more durability than the competition. Either that, or he's going to need to cost 125 minerals. I think if we want him to be this tanky with the lifesteal, yeah, I think that's fine. He's going to do pretty good damage in a lot of the cases. I think so. No, it's Rosie. Rose. Oh, I guess Rosei. Rosei Record. No, wait, it would be IZ. So Rosie. It's all rosy, dude. Don't worry about it. Looks like our render's already done, so we can check out our guy. Where's our... well, I think I have I may have pranked myself here because I think I still had something selected, or we were still in pose mode or something somewhere. So he wasn't in. He was just a plank. Yeah, what the fuck? What? What is this? Okay. Alright, we're good now. We can go ahead and render. That was really deranged. Hey, what's up, Veek? Starcraft 1 graphics are unique in the fact that they looked more 3D-ish, very colorful, more bulky, like Warcraft 3 before Warcraft. I don't know if that's really that true. I feel like it's hard to take, sweeping statements from Starcraft 1's graphics. Because the Terran stuff was, abstract nonsense for their structures. Like, they have no architectural... very little in the way of, consistent architectural decisions. All of the graphics for the structures were rendered at, feels like slightly different dimensions and stuff. Like, the camera properties weren't always consistent. They rendered, the Goliath and the Scout with perspective mode instead of orthographic, so their renders were not actually accurate depending on which graphic you were looking at, which angle you were looking at. It wasn't a consistent dimensions. Oh, I see. You're having a fun time with the heat wave. I am sorry that you were having to deal with that. Yeah, this animation is going to go a little bit quicker than it looks like. I actually really like how that ended up turning out. Look out, dude. You got this guy coming in at you. It's his little burrow in there, even with his big-ass tail. That's pretty cool. Okay. So we're gonna go ahead and do the Shadow Remains, Birth, and Mutate, because I think we're good to go. We'll just output all of those graphics. I don't see there's any reason why not to. Hopefully you have... Oh, and I guess Europeans don't get air conditioning. They just don't have that access to that for whatever reason, so that's pretty shitty. But hopefully you have a couple fans on or something. Sicky's still practicing for his Protoss show match. How's that going for him? Thunderslapped bopped him. it looks like. Maybe some out there strategies. There's a TVA on Aegis. Veek should enjoy that. You have a fan? Is better to have the coffee. Yeah, I'm working on Sovereign Saga. I just finished render, or I'm in the middle of rendering, but I just finished concepting a factional I0 core replacement for the Imacrenia Tendril, which you're facing against in Sovereign Saga. And in this mission, there's going to be one player of the two that are potentially here. This guy in the top left will get the Hydrith Den, and so I wanted to see if I could do some quick tech tree development for the Imacrenia Tendril so that we have access to that. So I've come up with the concept already. The Rosira core has Saber Siphon, but single target, melee, instead of the ranged multi-target that the Izira core had. A little bit more tanky, but 50 more minerals in terms of expenditure, so should be I think that's like a nice balance. It's got 20 bonus health over the IZ, and it obviously has the lifesteal, but it's single target lifesteal, and it's the same attack speed. Has 2 armor pen, but it doesn't do a lot of damage. I think it's like 8 damage. So we're going to see about putting that in there. Late lunchtime? I had late breakfast at lunchtime. That's my little update for you. I'm going to prep... I have to prep dinner in a couple hours, actually. It's weird to say that as after I've only eaten breakfast. Yeah, it's kind of like a mini Ultra Core. It's also like, you know, the Tetzora Core is what the Izira Core turns into, and the Tetzora Core has Saber Siphon on an AoE attack. So this is sort of like a, not an echo, but it's the opposite, right? It's a precursor. Breakfast rocks. You're right. I haven't had my, usually I have a yogurt bowl with like peanut butter, granola, and all kinds of good stuff. I didn't have that yet today. So that might be lunch, since I didn't have breakfast. I had eggs cooked up in a pan of curry leftovers, and the curry was like a chicken curry. It was pretty good. All right, what am I doing for implementation details? We still have to, we haven't been able to actually crack the code on extending weapons yet, and I have to do that at some point in August because it's just getting outrageous. So I was supposed to have that done months ago, but it's currently giving me conflicts in the MTL plugin that Nave made in Rust, and so I haven't been able to fully investigate that just yet. But let's go to our yeah, Greek yogurt. Yeah, I don't always do Greek, but I do whole milk no matter what, so it's not like an overwrought amount of sugar or anything. Okay, so we're looking to see if the Ultra Core is in here. If data attacker ID there was a shorthand like tiles somewhere. I don't remember where those are enumerated though. It's not just HP, is it? It is HP, okay. Yeah, value times 256. That's fine. Alright, so we have to look at the Rosira core damage, comparing it to the Ultra core damage. This is 8. We're looking at 25. Okay, so it's like 13 minus, right? Something like that. No, it's 18 minus, it should be. 8 will knock it down to... 7 will knock it down from 25 to 18, so 17. Now we just need to go to the tooltip, where it's the modified damage, and subtract 17 from it in this thing as well. And then so modified armor pen, the is -3 for the Zero core. And then the attack speed. time to do some math. Percentage calculator, 0.58 to 0.83 is 43%. So... it should be a multiply 1.43. Oh, yeah, I forgot to actually define our unit. That's a little important. I'm definitely going to need to see if I can customize this new version of File Pilot a little bit better. It's not quite doing it for me right now with the rounded look on everything. Zerg to 0 core. The Virulent Evoa, everybody's favorite structure. So this is 40. Also, this technically takes away the Izira core, the Rosira core, the Imacrenia tendrils' ability to attack air units with their IZ, which I think is a fine trade-off considering everything else that you get. Oh, I forgot to actually say it's 607 now. Is that right? No. Not quite. 616. And that. We're going to need to create a Flingy, Sprite, and Images entry set for these. That means that we do have to go into here and open Images TBL. Let's go to Unit CM FC. We have Birth. I will do Shadow, Names, Birth. Yeah, marketing is its own job, that's for sure. I mean, the thing is, like, I'm just building out all of our content base with the campaign stuff, the map content for, like, 1v1s and 2v2s and all that, making sure that there's a lot of stuff there for people to actually enjoy when they are here. And I'm doing a good job, I think, serving the community we do have. And I don't really want to, sacrifice the community we have to benefit or to try to court a community that we don't yet have. But I do think that there's something to be said for the... there's something to be said for what we actually, increasing the fun that everybody can have by increasing the number of homies we got going on here. So I think that is valid. And so I'll just see what I can do to keep that going. For sure. Let's do 14 boxes for this guy, see if that helps at all. Just increasing the size of the selection circle health bar will maybe help communicate that it's a tankier unit, but I don't know if it's going to be particularly noticeable. But Yeah, for sure. The marketing stuff is its own job. That's definitely inarguable. I think the Grimoire will probably be one of the first Blood Summon things added, just so that people can play around with it as a neutral edition. So you guys can look forward to it. Now, I can't, obviously nothing is going to be final for their graphics, but I'll see if I can grab something that'll be appropriate early on. It'll probably be a fairly large structure, just because if you spam them out a lot, it's going to be pretty powerful, of course. So now if we go to 2401, in here is 0, we gotta go to the graphics here, 243 or 4, I guess, for the birth. And then our flingy has to be 702, I think it was. Portrait-wise, it's still using the i0 core portrait. At some point, I'll probably apply the same color changes at the very least to the i0 core portrait as its own blend file, but I'm not prioritizing that in this moment. Portrait or i0 core, and we will. I wish it was dashes. Dashes actually get caught by. Oh, I guess sometimes underscores do. Maybe that's a thing for this program, actually. I think when there's more campaign content, that'll really help people's enjoyment of the whole thing. Wraith Anseal Trojan. Do we want Anseals in Mission 5? Gonna be going from getting the Goliath, the 2 scrapyard units. We might want to not have the Anseal. Let's see. That's for the yeah. I think that's probably fine. Alright, so we've taken care of the initial drafting of the AI. The top left player doesn't have an AI script yet, but this guy has probably everything he needs to run the AI natively. There's probably a couple of compiler errors that are just related to, like, I'm going to call it no build. See if we missed anything. No, seems correct. I'm gonna go into our unit def here. Screelyleth, I think, can't be a military. But I mean, I could be wrong about that, and I'll have to just test it out at some point. In fact, I guess maybe they all can be military now. The eBlueleth doesn't build stuff, right? So, and it's not an Ovileth equivalent anymore. It's like troop transport stuff or whatever. Yeah. All right. Somebody asked me that very recently, and I have to answer the same thing. The technical answer is the tokens would run out way too fast to actually understand the code base. Also, I don't trust any of its output, and also I have moral and ethical concerns that make me a conscientious objector to generative AI in any form. So, probably the easiest way to explain it. It wouldn't actually help us, but even if it would, I wouldn't be able to consciously use it. Conscientiously use it. I think honestly, like on a almost ontological level, I feel like using AI to do something you should do yourself. Like, do you care about the process by which you do your creative work, or do you care about the outcome? And I care about the process, so I want to be able to learn the shit, even if I'm doing a not-so-good job. Like, it's because I did a bunch of not-so-good jobs, and for a few other factors, of course, that my animation of the Rosira core just now was pretty good, actually. Did the trick, did all right. You know, it wasn't terrible. I wouldn't be able to say that in the context that I can say that now about what I just did today if I didn't go through the laborious process of learning the skill myself. So. This is 2401, I think. What is our ISID here? 840. Problem with the way AI is an educated blind man. Yeah, I mean, the web search stuff is only true because you need so much power, it feels like, to actually get anywhere with modern searching because of how terrible all of the search results are. Yeah, both deleted missions are going to be there. Hey, look at that fancy button. Very nice. Takes you right to the coffee page, which if you do decide to donate, you can enjoy. Some pretty cool stuff. I like that we default to the membership page, I guess, so that's what happened there. But yeah, at $3 a month, you can enjoy all the podcasts that I release that are donor only. I do like usually somewhere between 3 and 4 a week. It's just me on my phone at work or walking around or whatever, talking some smack about what I've been doing. And you also get access to the exclusive donor chat on Discord and Fluxer. The $12 a month tier gives you early access to Sovereign Saga missions and other missions that I release. So you get to play test those kinds of things when they come out. I also do some private dev streams. I haven't done any in a little bit, but I'll be getting back to that as I get back into the regular streams in a normal schedule anyway. And then, the other stuff is a little bit more like, specific. At $69 a month, you get a map every month or some other thing like video level, something like that. Currently, we only have, I think, Art of Turtle and... Is Art of Turtle still on that tier? I actually can't remember. But I know... He was at that tier for a little bit. He might not be out there anymore. Yeah, it looks like he's not there anymore. But he was there for a while. Hit him up was there for a good while, and I believe still is. Yeah, he still is. So. There you go. Shout out. Okay. So the other thing that we had to do real quick related to... I guess it's actually somewhere in API, maybe? Maybe in utils, CM utils. Okay. All right, I'm pretty sure that will take care of this, so that's good. But that was just to make sure that the correct name is appended to it. Somebody reported that the end bore was using the wrong string for its weapon. Oh yeah, that actually does make sense based on this. So I'll fix that bug. Did it not? What's up, Shambler? I'm gonna have to wrap the stream pretty soon because I do need to spend time with some tabletop stuff today, and I also have to make dinner. and I also have to do some other tabletop stuff today. So there's a lot going on here, but that's all right. So we got our AI script, put it together. We're gonna say randomize. Opening. I guess it randomize Zerg strategy. And then, since it's just a binary thing, I'm going to randomize switch 3. And then elapsed time is at least 3. No, let's say 1. Zerg strategy. Breed. Yeah, and this is switch 3 is cleared. Player 3 set to. I guess technically we don't really have to do anything if it's. Yeah, I guess that's what we should do. We should only have the trigger here for the mineral field's death set if it's contain. And so this would be set and elapsed time is at least 1 game second. Or I guess we don't even need that, because if it's set, then that means it's not cleared, because cleared is the default. So then we can also, I guess we can probably keep it set. It doesn't do anything else, but maybe we'll do the Zerg strategy. Let's just say Zerg contain, that's what we'll call it. I usually reserve switch 1 for something useful, since it's the default in a lot of trigger cases. Okay. Then we can go ahead and do init Zerg down. Turn Harvest Town, I believe, is what we're working with here. So we're going to do that on player 3. And player set to 100. Pretty modest, pretty Spartan initial start there. Not very significant. Oh my god, Handfish has joined the Discord server. Also, Thunderslaps is looking for 1v1. In case anybody else might be looking for 1v1 and listening to this. He is a Zerg player. He's pretty cool. That's you on Handfish. Ah, cool. Welcome, Handfish. That's probably, I'll probably start calling you Handfish now. Prepare yourself. Alright, so just based on that, when we start this map up, this AI should actually start working on all of its things, and it should have the randomizer set up. So we're not going to actively be testing that, but we have done our stuff for the day. We also did that faction unit, which I feel pretty good about. It is in our local copy of the game. I'm going to just double check that I didn't miss anything, because a lot of... Oh yeah, I know. In fact, one thing I did do, I didn't add new requirement stuff for it in GPTP, and I didn't add the button set handling for it in here, so it can actually be made by Imacrenia units or players or whatever. So by human players, of course. So we're gonna go ahead and have to do this 616 or 0 core, and then a 0 core. Duplicate this, row 0 core. And then we'll have to have a custom image of it as well, of course. Let's go do stat 0 core. This is 1344. for train and 2 for deplete. Or not deplete, disabled. What frame ID will this have? Looks like 919. And then we're also going to look for the i0 core. Ending, starting. Okay, I had to remember what I was using for that. Alright, so rather than having Crushing Tide, it's going to have Saber Siphon. And then it's another button set thing we have to do. Saber Siphon. Saber Siphon. Okay. So 621 is the button set, it looks like. Okay, that makes sense. All right, it's time to wrap this one up, I think. Everything should be good in here except for the, I guess, the units, right? Copy this down here for the user core here. All right, we're good to go on that front. Orders for borrow or tech use or whatever. Yeah, we gotta add this as well. I guess we didn't add it for the Zoltora core. It's probably a bug. So we'll add that. I don't know if that is a bug. I don't think anybody's reported it. If so, all right. Pretty good. There's so many steps to adding a new unit. It's very difficult to make sure that you've gotten all of them down pat. Something I hope we can rectify when we're building our own engine in the future. Because it takes a lot. Alright, so we have 32 by 26. We're going to make that a 29 width. Have the proportions be a little bit more square. It just ends up looking a bit more attractive for the command icon. Speaking from experience. Save this here in... Oops, I closed that one. I didn't mean to. And batch that. So 616 is the unit ID, so we did 628 for the command icon, because you had to add 12, by the way. So that's here. Did I make a second UI? Is that what I did? Yeah. Looks like so. I'll go here, and this will go to... We'll copy the i0 core wireframe for now. And then we'll go ahead and do this. Okay. Close this for now. Compile our grafting. So again, I know that I still need to add the new requirements for this guy. Oh, I didn't give it a name in unit names. Here's to have Saber Siphon. So he doesn't have the iScript set up yet. So he's a little bit off. And of course he's playing the wrong sound effects as a result of that. But... oh, I guess the weapon range might need to be moderately reduced in pixels or whatever. I didn't really think about that. But he is working. There's that. Might need to slightly increase the attack speed. We'll see about that one. Besides not having the unit name, he's good to go. Let's go ahead and fix that part. Unit names. I guess it'll be actional units. Alrighty, I think we're good to go. We're going to wrap on that. Thank you, gentlemen, for hanging out. Ladies and gentlemen, of course. I will be seeing you guys. More Cosmonarchy stuff will be coming. I'm not going to stream tomorrow because it's a tabletop day, and I got the 2v2 tournament that I'm playing in. If you want to pop into that, I think George is going to be streaming on Discord. You can check out the Discord stream there. I don't think he's going to be streaming it anywhere else. Maybe I'll stream my POV of it or something. I'm not really sure yet, but I don't have an active plan to do that. But I'll see you guys on that. That'll be a fun event for sure. I'll catch you guys on Sunday for some more general dev. So if you're looking for that, that'll be that. And of course, daily videos. So subscribe if you're not already. I'll see you guys later on. Peace.